Hi, this is Roseanne Quintero with my EDL 856 Module 12 presentation on the case study, A New Role for the Parents Organization. As we look at the facts of this case study, the what, a new parent organization was forming. They were not officially affiliated with the PTA. They were seeking more involvement, including classroom observations and teacher evaluations. They wanted a larger role in day-to-day policies. The principal in this situation is unsure of the group and their intentions. He hasn't been involved in prior communications with them. And in a traditional event such as the back to school night was approaching, and the parents wanted to start changing traditional events. Who is involved? The principal and an independent parent organization. The president of this organization is a young attorney. When did this case study occur? The meeting was held on the Thursday before their back to school night, and this was an annual traditional event. The organization and the principal met in the principal's office at the school. If we look at potential ethical and legal issues of this case, if we're speaking legally, there could be a potential violation of FERPA with outside members coming into classrooms for observation or teacher evaluations. There could be a breach in school board policies and a breach in teacher contract agreement. That agreement could include who is actually required to evaluate them and who can be certified to evaluate them. If we discuss ethical issues, there could be an inappropriate use of power that surfaces with this situation and a potential conflict of interest. Moving into a synthesized summary of the case study, a new parent organization has formed, pursuing more involvement in school operations, including teacher evaluations, analyzing achievement data, causing an unnecessary tension between the principal, parents, and thus the school community. If we look at the people in this case study, we have the principal, who is the head instructional leader. He's unaware that the parents have concerns because prior interactions with the affiliated PTA group have always been seamless, and they've always been very supportive in assisting in his ideas. He is concerned about the direction that this new parents organization want to take the events and their roles. If we look at the newly formed parent group, their overall intent is to support and assist, but they might be taking it in a different direction. They are seeking a lot more power and a lot more involvement in day-to-day school operations. The principal, however, his idea is that a parent group focuses on community and family outreach and, again, assists and supports him any way possible. The president, as stated before, he's a young attorney. He's very assertive, and he's the voice of the group. Looking at these people and the sources of power, the principal has positional power in this situation. He's the legitimate leader. It is his school. He is the instructional leader. The newly formed parent group, they're all exerting personal power. It's their choice to be involved, and they express varying degrees of power. The president is also exuding personal power. It's also a reward power. He enjoys his personal role and controls things of value. Looking at the place, it's obviously a school. The specific details were undisclosed in this case study, but I'm assuming it's a public school serving both general and special education students. And again, the meeting that this case study focused on occurred in the principal's office. Looking at the prioritized information, the stakeholders involved would be the school and their administration, their staff members, the parent organization themselves, students, and the community. There could be a possible negative impact on the school culture and relationships because of this situation. There's a misconstrued message to families and staff with different targeted goals. The principal has one idea, and the parent group has another idea. Appropriate school leaders need to be communicated with and consulted on this situation, potentially consultation with district leaders, such as the assistant superintendent or superintendent if things get way out of control, or potential consultation with the school board. A decision could be made after appropriate communication, having a meeting, and giving an opportunity for the parent group to understand their responsibilities and school goals. If we look at the four possible options, option A would be to ignore the request of the group and overrule it. Option B, you could give the parent group all the power and agree to all the requests. Option C, you could develop and educate this group of members on expectations and policies, including goals, and hope to find a common ground with them. Or option D, you could disband the group. You can request for the affiliated PTA to be reinstated. With those possible options in mind, looking at A, you could ensue a rift between the organization and school admin, which would in turn have a negative impact. If you go with option B, you would lose sight of your own personal vision for your school. You'd give your authority to this group, which in turn could have a negative impact with staff. Then you could lead to potential ethical and legal issues as well, as stated. Option C, members could possibly change their mindset for an alignment with you and your vision. It could be time consuming in a sense of presenting, having another meeting, and educating, but in hopes to find common ground. Option D, you could damage the relationship with this current parent group by seeking the old reinstated affiliated PTA to come back as their main parent group. And if you do that, you could jeopardize future events and funding with this current group. If we look closely at these options once again and evaluate them with pros and cons of each, option A, a pro to this you would demonstrate your authority as the school principal. You would give exact direction to the parent group and make sure that it aligns with your vision and the school's vision. A con would be that it would damage the parent relationships that are in the group right now and have a negative future impact on schools. Option B, if you give them all the power and just agree to all of the requests, you would appease the parent group. That would be the pro. The con, you would give your authority to others, possibly lose sight of the school's direction and goals, and potentially face legal and ethical issues. Looking into option C, a pro would be that the expectation and your goals would align with the parent or organization. You'd have parent buy-in and compliance with policies. A con, preparing this presentation and taking the time to educate them could be time consuming. And at the end of it all, the organization may not agree. The last option, option D, seeking the old affiliated PTA to be reinstated. That would be obviously the pro. It has worked in the past, so that would also be the pro. And the group would end up supporting and assisting the school as needed. A con, it could potentially damage the relationships with this current parent group. It may appear like you don't like disagreement. It might come off as like my way or the highway, and an aggressive leadership power. Looking at the best option would be option C. This option allows you to be proactive and address the situation immediately. The implementation of this option would be the most attentive, aligning with district policies and the school vision. By making this decision, you're able to evaluate the situation independently and demonstrate your knowledge, communicate effectively with necessary stakeholders, in an attempt to maintain a positive, collaborative working relationship. Information to consider while analyzing those options. You had to keep in mind promoting a collaborative effort among all stakeholders, staff, students, parents, and obviously the district and community. With that, it's important to identify roles and responsibilities so everyone knows how to work together to achieve a common goal. The second thing to keep in mind is how to manage your resources and operations of your school. As the principal, it is your job to kind of navigate that community effort and utilize every organization and committee as best possible and as necessary. And lastly, it's important to keep in mind that constructing appropriate organizational policies is a necessity. You need clear direction from the principal and school admin, all working towards a common goal. If we look at the direct implementation of option C, first, you have to ensure your own understanding of your school's policies to remain in compliance, including observations and teacher evaluations. It would be important to seek input from the school board and district leaders and also inform them of the current situation so they're not blindsided if something comes to the district level. Next, I would put together a comprehensive plan of expectations, my expectations for the group, the district's expectations of parent organizations, their exact responsibilities and school goals. That way you have a common ground, an aligned vision, aligned goals. You're all working for the same thing. And items that you might include would be the expectation you have for the group, outline responsibilities, the overall vision for the school, and identify common goals to achieve. Next, you would include the legal and ethical policies that need to be protected. They might not be aware of those. It's important to educate them on that. School board policies, district policies regarding who is considered a certified evaluator, why that's important, how that plays into their contract and their pay. And many different districts have different things that evaluations play into. It's also important to present and educate the parent organization to come to a mutual understanding. And they know that their job is to support the school community and ensure the well being of all students. Two other notes to keep in mind while implementing this option: it could lead to further steps enhancing the policies already in place, such as you might need to meet with the school board to ensure that there are appropriate guidelines and boundaries included in policies for parent organizations. It's important to outline these parameters so that they know the confines they're working in. And second, to ensure that these policies are outlined in a parent volunteer handbook or something on each campus for easy access. And these are my references for the case study. Thank you.